My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we're going to talk about change. Change is so important in all of our lives, in all of our journeys, in all of our goals, yet we can resist it, right? Or we can not enjoy it. So today we're going to dig into the word change. And I'm curious who's out there that's looking for change, who's looking for a shakeup in their life, who's looking for something different. And so today we're going to dig into this topic pretty deep. But before I go there, this is episode 150. Holy moly. Like, never did I think 150 podcasts in. And I don't know. I'm ecstatic. I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for everyone listening and tuning in week after week. And some of you guys who have gone all the way back to the beginning to then getting here to the 150th episode. I'm grateful and excited to continue on this journey. You know, I can't wait to be in the 500s, the 700s. And I just feel like there's such an important message to be shared to women specifically, helping you grow, helping you be who you're ultimately meant to be, helping push you, helping shake you, helping you be the woman that I personally wanted for myself, knew it was possible, but was scared, did it, and then I was like, holy crap, it's so much better on this side. And so I'm sharing all of this content with you because I want you to understand that life doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be hard. Sure, things are going to be challenging, but there's so much perspective and there's so much goodness in this world if we're willing to look, find it, and see it and create it. Okay, let's dig into this topic. So, change. What's the problem with change? So, with change, what happens is we're resistant. So, we like doing things the same way, even if what we're doing isn't providing the end result that we desire. So what is that, right? Like, this is an important topic. This is something that even myself, I've resisted for a really long time. Certain goals that I've put forth, certain outcomes that I desired, for what? To stay comfortable, to stay here in this same place. Now, for some of you guys, you may be like, well, right here's pretty good. And I wouldn't negate that. I wouldn't say you're not in a good place or you're not in a really happy medium of life. But that there is its own problem, is we'll stay in a safe zone. We'll stay in a spot that, like, let's relate this back to health and wellness. So many times I will have someone come to me and they'll say, hey, I do desire to see weight loss. Here's a very interesting one. When a woman won't say weight loss, but she knows she needs to lose weight, I just want to get healthier. That's always a very interesting one. And I'm like, oh man, we gotta break this one down. It's okay to own what struggle you're feeling. It's okay to own what feelings that you have. I remember so many times not wanting to say that I was a depressed person or an anxious person. Then I started wearing it like it was a badge of honor, which was actually kind of interesting in itself. And then I remember desiring to change, but I felt so stuck. I felt so stuck that it was almost like I was willing to accept the struggle accept the way I felt on a daily basis as normal. Curious if anybody else has felt this way or feels this way right now, because there's so many times that like I have sat in struggle, and if I didn't have that struggle, what would I have? Now you may be like, girl, this is crazy. Like, what are you talking about? But what I'm talking about is it's so much easier to stay where you are today, even though you desire something else. So I'm going to come back to this, but what I want to speak into is, are you settling? Or are you saying to yourself, man, I desire a different outcome, but I'm unwilling to do the things? And that's an okay space to breathe into, but don't stay there long. Because if you set a goal and you have an outcome that you desire, what you got to do is do the things. So many times we want something to be such a big epiphany, be like earth-shattering, when in reality, we just have to make very micro changes to our day-to-day. But again, it is so much easier to stay the same. It's so much easier to sneak the sugary snack, to have that late night snack, to have another drink and another drink. It is so much easier to do what you've always done to cope with life the way you always have. So if we're desiring change, we have to do things differently. We have to shake things up a bit. And here's what I've found is, like, reasonably speaking, we can do this for a hot second, but then we get bored, or life will happen and we'll go right back to our old ways. And so many times part of the journey that I help women go on is the consistency of it all and the micro changes that you must change day after day after day. What my hope and my goal is for women that I work with is that they've made such small adjustments day after day after day that pretty soon this is just the new normal, because you've done it enough times that getting your steps in is a non-negotiable. You just get up and you do it at certain times and certain days of your week. Or prepping and planning food, reasonably speaking, like you've done it so many times that it's just normal. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you figure it out. Something that's so funny, and I don't know why I'm choosing to share this with you guys, but I have found, so I used to always go to the grocery store on Saturday or Sunday, and I don't know why. Like, that's just kind of the day that I always felt that I needed to go. We were out of food. And all of a sudden I started going to the grocery store in the afternoon on a Friday. First off, let me just tell you, the grocery store is full. They have all the foods stocked, prepped. Have you ever gone to the grocery store on Saturday morning and there's literally like scraping the bottom trying to get the last yogurt that you can see all the way back that you have to reach? Oh my gosh. Talk about, the other day I was at the grocery store too and trying to reach this bone broth that was on the top shelf and I couldn't reach it. I even stepped on the bottom. Now Arin's a whole like 5'2 3/4, 5'3" on a good day. And I was definitely wearing flats. And so I was trying to reach this bone broth that was on the top shelf and I couldn't reach it. And I was so damn prideful that I didn't even ask for help and I bought the more expensive one because I was pissed. And I was actually also pissed because a couple of people walked by and didn't even offer to help, which that's its own deal. But anyways, I digress. I went to the grocery store on Friday and I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. First off, I had all our groceries for the weekend. We ended up not even dining out half as much as we normally do on the weekend, which was actually kind of nice. And then I was already ready for the week. And sure, it was a pretty decent grocery haul, but I was like, holy crap, I've got everything and now I don't even have to worry about it over the weekend. So that's a change, right? And it was such a quick and easy, and it actually just worked out because we actually had run out of food. And so I was like, oh crap, I need something for tonight, meaning it was Friday. And it was amazing how much easier it was to navigate the store. The store wasn't busy. And so I'm curious if things that you're doing in your week to week to week are not as desirable, but we've done it for so long that we feel like it's the only way to do it. Consider making a change. that was a really quick change that even I told my husband, I was like, man, I think Friday's my new jam to go to the grocery store because everything's stocked up. There's hardly anybody in the store. And then I don't have to worry about it all weekend, and we've got plenty of food in there. So anyways, it was an epiphany for me, yet it's such a small tweak to the overall day, but it really can be everything. And that's what I want to really encourage you, that making some of these changes in your life, don't resist them, okay? Try to figure out ways to make life more simple. See, so many times we want to just pack things on and pack things on, and sometimes we need to really simplify to truly grow forward. And I want you to understand the change that you actually need to make in your life right now, today, monumental. If you were to do things little by little by little, day after day after day, can you imagine how they could compound? So why do we resist? Why do we resist when we know we actually want a desired outcome? It's honestly because we've always done the same thing over and over. And it is very, very challenging to get yourself to just quit. And so what I highly recommend in this journey is creating the small change. So small of change that you're like, man, is this really even working? And then sticking with it 10,000 times longer than you ever thought you would have to do it. Because the thing that we need, especially in a weight loss journey, when we're making changes, is pretty soon you have to become this new person. And this was something that, man, I can't believe how long I resisted this. But so many times I wanted to fly off the handle, be anxious, be frustrated, talk about struggle, talk about how challenging life is, to then the point where I'm like, man, I can even correct myself in multiple just thoughts on my own of negativity, or what if this happens? What if that happens? And really reframe myself to get back to, but girl, you desire this change. You desire this outcome. See, we're getting ready to make some really big changes in our life that is really going to change the trajectory of just having time with our family, how we provide for our kids. And I was finding myself really resisting this change yesterday. And it even led into my morning this morning. I had to really talk myself through it. Like, set this goal. This goal is now happening, yet you're resisting it. Like, what the heck is that? But we do this. We do this in so many different goals. Have you ever got cold feet when you're going to buy a car? Or let's say I was just helping a friend who is looking at purchasing a pool, and she was like, oh my gosh, is this how much a pool is? I'm like, yes, this is how much a pool is. But she was just like, do we really, should I? And I was like, you have to really understand, you didn't just come up with this idea yesterday. You've been looking at this stuff, you've been researching it, you've been spending how much money in country club memberships, like, pull the trigger. And obviously a very personal choice and very important choice to make for your family, especially when it comes to finances and just weighing all the pros and cons. But here's the thing that I know is we'll talk ourselves out of any of our goals all day, every day, because it's easy to stay the same. It's easier to say, oh, I wish we had a pool, or oh, I wish we could do this, or I wish my clothes fit better, or I wish I could wear a two-piece at the pool, or I wish this dress just went on, and I wish I didn't have to, dig in my closet to find something to cover up my body, blah, blah, blah. There's so many times that we can just talk ourselves out of this when all we have to do is put the goal in front of us. Then we have to commit to the changes that we're going to do on a daily basis. Even though those changes may feel insignificant at the time, I promise you it adds up. There's so many times when I have on a client's daily checklist, getting steps in. And this is something too that's so interesting to me is I'm not going to beg someone to do their steps. This is the plan. This is what we've put in front of you. and you need to execute it. If you're not getting it done, okay, cool. That's what we need to talk through. But I'm not going to beg you, please go get your workout in. Please go get your steps in. This has to become part of you. No one likes a nagging mother telling you what to do, right? I mean, so who would want a nagging coach, right? But more, it's having the overall strategy and the plan. And then it's every single day figuring out, okay, how am I going to execute this? Especially when you do have a busy schedule, you've got a couple kiddos, you've got just a lot of obligations outside. It can pose a challenge. And I'm gonna challenge you back to figure out what works for you personally. Sometimes you're going to have to shift that schedule. Sometimes you're going to have to move that workout. But reasonably speaking, we're still going to get her done. I have worked out for so long, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have worked out between anywhere from 5:30 in the morning to basically noon. And some days I'm at 9. But I figure out how to always keep that workout Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And literally last week was like the first week in a really long time that it didn't happen perfectly like that. And I was like, whoa, I cannot remember the last time I missed a workout, but it happens. The cool thing is this week you get right back on track, or you adjust your schedule because you saw what happened last week and you say, okay, cool. How can I make sure that doesn't happen again? This is the kind of change that we have to consider making a part of our day, making it a part of our life. That is just, it's simple, it's easy. We don't give it too much legs. But on the flip side, we go, okay, what do I actually need to do in order to do this? And I want to pull this topic here together by saying, I feel like we're going to have to completely have an overhaul. And typically these are just the small incremental changes. This is where I want you to reach for what excellence and personal responsibility, and what can I do to change the trajectory of my life? For some people, it's just simply taking the next step in their career, or opening the business that they always dreamed and said they were going to do, or finally saying, hey, I can't keep or drinking like this. This is not serving me. Finally saying, okay, I am going to take ownership and I do need to make changes, and then actually following through with it. That's the secret sauce when it comes to weight loss, is actually making the change and following through with it long enough in order to see the final outcome. Other thing that I love about change is when you hit the goal and you ask yourself, what's next? See, I'm always going to be pushing to that next edge, whether it's in business, whether it's in my marriage, whether it's in friendships and how good of relationships can I have, and also in finances. What else can I do? Because the more we keep pushing and going after what we want to give back, the more that we can do for others, the more that we can be there for other people in different times. If we keep holding ourselves back, saying this is good enough, that's it, it's going to be good enough. This is it. And for some of you guys, you may be listening to this saying, hey girl, I'm good. And that's all good. It's all good. But on the flip side, I want to really challenge you to reach for more. There's a lot more that's possible in this life if you're willing to open up and be vulnerable and to be okay with failing. That's one thing too. It's like, if you couldn't fail, what would you do? Because here's the thing, I never even feel like we fail, we learn. We have learned so much in these 16 years of business, and to be making the changes that we're making now is just, man, it's kind of crazy, it's kind of mind-blowing, but it's exciting too all at the same time. And hopefully here, I'll be sharing more of what those changes look like, because it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be really different, but change is a good thing. Doesn't feel like it sometimes in the process, but think about whenever you've changed environments, whether you had a new apartment, you got a new home, bought a new home. Just think when you go on vacation, there's a different feeling you get because your environment changes. Have you ever felt the change when you had a new job? You've got those butterflies. You've got that like 6 months of trying to figure it out. Who's the cool people? I remember the very few jobs that I ever worked. I'm like, oh, it took a good, I don't know, 3-6 months to really get comfortable in the position. And, I don't know. Don't ever want to experience that ever again. But it's interesting what change does, because change gives new possibility. Change gives new opportunity. And I want to encourage you with this message here today is to shake things up a bit. What have you been sitting stagnant with? If you've been stagnant with your weight loss, let's make that change. And if you feel like you need help with that, that's what I do. I help women get unstuck when it comes to losing weight, but then I also help women do this in a way you can do this for life. That is what is so important to me, is we do this for life. You cannot revert back. Reverting back is just like, no, it's not even in your language. So take a look at your life. Ask yourself, where do I need to make changes? And make a list. Make a list of things that you want to do differently, or look at it from this month, where when this is being recorded, this is the month of June, just starting. And even myself, I sat down with my husband this morning. We wrote down all the things that we want to have happen for the month of June. And we've gotten to the point where we get really, really detailed, but the details are truly everything. And what's even more wild is when we look back at May, even though we didn't hit every single one, there's some of them on there that I'm like, holy crap, we finally did it. Like, okay, that was cool. And the funny thing is the things on our list that are in more detail, those are the things that we got accomplished. So how detailed can you get? What change, what outcomes do you desire? And what are you resisting in order to make the change? What is there to by going all in and hitting this goal? All right, I'm going to leave you with that today. And listen, change is a good thing. Embrace it and move forward in your life.